Well, I'm happy to spoil a few more movies, especially when they're a tad less traumatizing than the last one. So here's full spoilers for the movie Devil's Pass, and it's a doozy. This movie starts with college student Holly and her co-director Jensen behind the camera trying to make a film about a real-life incident, the Dyatlov Pass incident, where 9 Soviet hikers did go missing in 1959 in the mountains under still mysterious circumstances. Holly and Jensen drive fellow college students to help on their documentary through a grant, with Denise as the boom operator and Alex and JP as expert hikers that are very confident in their hiking abilities. After Holly drafts the film crew, we cut to actual present day with a Russian news source saying that 5 college students were just lost in the Dyatlov Pass incident, showing that Holly and her crew somehow get lost. The Russian news source says footage was found of the hikers but kept by the Russian government, but hackers got it. So the rest of the film is us seeing that uncovered footage. Cutting back to the now found footage, we see that the crew makes it to Russia and they want to interview a few people before heading to the actual Dyatlov Pass in the mountains. They try to interview someone that was with the original crew for the 1959 expedition but turned around because he was ill, but they find him at a mental hospital and he's holding a sign in the window saying stay away. After that, a bit defeated, they go to the local bar and get shots where they get a really special alcohol because it's the exact same shots the original expeditioners took. So that's ominous. The team kind of lucks out for their documentary because they find someone that was on the rescue crew that went to find the 9 original bodies from the original Dyatlov Pass incident, but she explains that there wasn't just 9 bodies, she saw 2 extra that the government were hiding, so 11 bodies. There were only ever 9 people. They turn the camera off, they don't believe her, but remember this. Well, not deterred, the crew heads to Dyatlov Pass for a really lovely snowy hike. They get a lot of footage. They may hear Inhuman howling all around them, but it's all good. After the first night of the hike, they get extra warnings. They might want to leave, finding these bare footprints in the snow. At this point, too, everyone starts getting really suspect of Holly and Jensen, saying they're trying to stage things to make their documentary more interesting, and that kind of lasts most of the film. A few things happen next. The crew finds this weather tower, looks inside, and there's a cut-off tongue in there. Jensen and Holly have a secret conversation away from the group where JP describes once that he had an acid trip where he heard the exact same howling they've been hearing all around them on this trip, and he woke up found in the street yelling about demons. Holly says, it's okay, Jensen, that's kind of normal because I have dreams about Dyatlov Pass like my whole life, so that's why I'm here, it's fate. And if you're not watching closely, you'll miss it, but 2 mysterious figures are walking along the mountains. The crew then does allegedly arrive at Dyatlov Pass. Holly sees the surrounding area. She says, we're here. I recognize it from all the photos. But Alex and JP say, we're not supposed to be to Dyatlov Pass for miles. We're way too early. They can't confirm it though because all the equipment is malfunctioning. Alex and JP say again, we need to keep going, we're not there, but Holly and Jensen are just excited to be filming in the locations where the original bodies were found. Holly and Jensen break off again from the group looking for radiation because, important detail, one of the bodies found of the original Dyatlov Pass hikers had radiation on it. So they're just wandering the mountain looking for more radiation, which keeps increasing on the counter. Holly and Jensen, away from the group, find this irradiated door buried under the snow in the middle of the mountain that's locked from the outside. They unlock it, but it's still frozen shut and they just leave it, go back to camp. The next morning, snow hits the fan when they wake up hearing explosions on the mountain above them, which sends an avalanche coming down. Denise gets obliterated and Alex gets a really bad injury to his leg. They're debating who would blow up the mountain and do this just to kill us, and they say probably the Russian government trying to hide what's been hidden for all these years, and Holly explains that she had to submit everything to the government where they're going, so everyone knows exactly where they are. They're also just out of luck because Alex has a biff leg and can't get back down the huge hike they've already been on, so they find a flare and fire it. Lucky for them, 2 hikers are really close to them when they fire their flare and come up. But those hikers don't have bags. How did they get up there if they weren't already there waiting for these people? So they're hunting them. They realize this and start booking it the other way. Alex can't run, so he stays behind and tries to do some cover, just gets domed. So they're being chased down by people shooting at them. And the only place to go for JP, Jensen, and Holly running away from gunfire is inside the irradiated vault. They just make it in after unfreezing the door, and the people lock them in. Inside this locked door, JP is shot. They have no way out, but there's tunnels in there, and they decide they have to go further into the tunnel to try to find an exit. A few things happen. Now, Holly and Jensen leave JP somewhere they think is safe because he's shot, not gonna be very mobile, and they find a lot of weird stuff in this tunnel. They find a dead soldier with a body part missing, his tongue from the earlier weather tower. They find top secret documents of the Philadelphia experiment, a US experiment where people thought it was a naval ship testing teleportation. And they find their camcorder. They're holding the one they have, another version of their camcorder, like 2 seconds ahead. Like it's showing 2 seconds into the future, but it's them on this identical camcorder. They hear JP scream, they run to him. Now you're about to see the weird. There's these creatures in there kind of eating JP. He's a goner. They're like humanoid long. They do kind of try to save JP, but these teleporting creatures are after Holly and Jensen, like going all around. They don't specifically try to kill Holly and Jensen, though it looks like it, but they're just teleporting all right. If you try to hit it, they disappear. Holly and Jensen get away by going into a door and locking it behind them, but then they're in this weird cavern, and this cavern goes in, but there's like ripples there, so they determine it's probably the teleportation wormhole they just found. And Jensen and Holly, they don't want to starve or just die there, and they can't go back out to the creatures, so they look to the wormhole. There's no controls in the cavern, so they determine it's probably controlled by what you can visualize in your mind. So they think, what can you visualize most clearly? The exit to this tunnel system. So they think about the front door of that vault, and they jump in. The camcorder makes it out. You can see Jensen and Holly on the ground, but then Russian military shows up on the camera. You gotta pay attention here. While the Russian military is protecting the bodies, 2 rescue workers come up and say, like, what's going on? We're looking for bodies. That's a younger version of who we saw do the interview earlier, saying there's 11 bodies, Alia. So these 2 are the 11th bodies. Their bodies then get pulled into the door, which is seemingly now back in 1959. They've teleported back to when the original Dyatlov Pass incident happened. You can see experiments and a bunch of people in the vault. It's lively. Those 2 get hung up on meat hooks because they now look like the creatures that were chasing them inside the vault that killed JP that were teleporting. You can tell that with a slow zoom in on this one's neck. It matches a tattoo from Holly. This explains how Holly and Jensen earlier in the film found an identical camcorder to theirs, just a little bit different time. It was the same camcorder, traveled back in time. To end the film, it's a slow zoom in on Holly's creature self, opens her eyes. That's the movie.